Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be recording our session for this online class, no, due to extreme weather condition, extreme heat weather condition. So this time we'll be having our discussion, no, of our next topic, the first topic for the prelim, semifinal. I mean, the very first topic for the semifinal is the cry of first the first cry of Philippine Revolution. So we'll be talking about this one because there are different accounts also, no, the issues that we'll be going to talk about this, no, as we also discussed in the previous meeting, a recorded session on the Cavite Mutiny. So we'll be associating the previous topic, which is the Cavite Mutiny, because the Cavite Mutiny serves as an inspiration also of various revolution that happened. No, there are phases of revolution. So when we were officially declared by our colonizers, the Spaniards in 1565 as the first Governor General. We have to remember we have Governor General Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. So there are various um, revolution that happened in the different parts of the Philippines. So the first part of the revolution when we were colonized was not successful due to the reason of Filipinos during that time are not united as one nation. So there are revolution in Bohol headed by Francisco Daguhoy, which has been considered as the longest revolution in the country. No, there is a revolution in Ilocos, in Mindanao. So meaning to say that that revolution that happened when we were colonized officially by the Spaniards were not successful because the reason that we are not united, we don't have national leader. Now, the second part of the revolution that sparked the nationalism, the sense of nationalism or the love of the country, happened during the Cavite Mutiny. When these three priests, the Gomburza, the Gomez, Burgos, and Mora, was being associated as the leader of the rebellion, the mutiny that happened in Cavite. No, they were executed. They are being beheaded. Pinugutan sila ng ulo through a guillotine or garrote. No? So the death of the three martyr priests serves as an inspiration of Jose Rizal. So here comes Jose Rizal. No? There are different types of revolution. The first one we have the reformists. No, these are people serves as revolting against the existing government by not having a bloody revolution. So hindi sila gumagamit ng dahas, hindi sila gumagamit ng puwersa or power or mga sandata. Ang natatanging sandata nila ay ang kanilang ploma, or when you say ploma, this is the pen, no? So the reformists, these are people being considered to be an educated person who have the chance to go to Europe to study because um, people in our country during this time when we were colonized in by the Spaniards, there is what we call social classes. When I say social classes, these are how people are being categorized in our society. Top of the social classes is on the very top of the triangle. We'll be using the triangle as analogy of how people are divided in our society during the Spanish era. So on the top are the pure-blooded Spaniards. They are what we call the Peninsulares. No, the Peninsulares, no, the word peninsula comes from a landform, which is a peninsula. No, if we recall the two countries, Portugal and Spain, is both under the peninsula, the Iberian Peninsula. That is why the Peninsulares are Spanish people born with the Spanish parents, mother and father are Spanish, but they are now living in the country. So that is why they are pure-blooded Spaniards. who are now in our country. Therefore, they are in the top of the triangle and they are considered to be the Peninsulares. So sino sila? Sila yung mga Espanyol na pinanganak sa Espanya, no? Sa kanilang mga magulang na mga Espanyol. So by that, no, they are what we call Peninsulares, no? Kasi may dalawang uri tayo ng citizenship. Now, the first one is hus sanguinis, meaning you gain your citizenship through by blood, meaning your mother and father is both Spaniards, so therefore you are a Spanish. So that is by blood. The second way of identifying your citizenship is by birth or whose soli. So ang lugar kung saan ka pinanganak. So, example, if your parents is both Spanish and you are born in Spain, therefore you are Hus Soli and Hus Sanguinis. You are a pure-blooded Spanish that living in the Philippines. So, they are being identified as Peninsulares. Again, they are Peninsulares. So, sino-sino itong mga Peninsulares na nasa Pilipinas? So, sila yung mga high-ranking officials, high-ranking colonial officials. Possibly, the Governor General is a Peninsulares. The regular priests, no, the Spanish priests are Peninsulares. Okay, so that's the very top, no? That's the top, Peninsulares. Second to the triangle is what we call Insulares. Insulares, Insulares, Insulares. So the Insulares are Spanish people born with Spanish parents, mother and father, but they are already born in the Philippines. So again, the Insulares are Spanish people with a Spanish mother and a Spanish father. By blood, they are purely Spanish, but they were born, so by birth, they were born in the Philippines. Therefore, they are identified as the second level, which is the Insulares. Insulares. So, pure Spanish pa rin sila, ngunit sila ay pinanganak sa Pilipinas. The third in the triangle is the Principalia. No? So these Principalia are Filipino, but they have Spanish blood. So probably their father is Spanish and their mother is a Filipina. Or vice versa, their mother is a Spanish, their father is a Filipino. So if you have Spanish blood and if you are a Filipino, so you are identified as Principalia. So usually the Principalia, sila yung mga mayayaman na mga Pilipino. No? Kagaya ng pamilya nila Jose Rizal. No? Sila Rizal ay kabilang sa Principalia. So may mga Principalia na tinatawag nating Ilustrados. Ilustrados, Ilustrados, or the Enlightened. So sino-sino ito? Anong uri ito ng mga Principalia ang mga Ilustrados? So sila yung mga Pilipino na nakapag-aral sa Europa. So that is why they are called Ilustrados or what we call the Enlightened, or they are being educated, they are civilized. So sila yung mga mayamang Pilipino na nakapag-aral sa partikular sa Espanya or sa Europa. Kagaya nila si Rizal, Graciano Lopez Haina. So bakit natin nabanggit si Graciano Lopez Haina? Because si Graciano Lopez Haina ay isa sa mga leader ng mga Ilustrados na nasa Espanya. Ang kanilang grupo ay tinawag na La Solidaridad. La Solidaridad. No? This is an organization of Filipino Ilustrados who is staying in Spain. No, they are fighting for reform. So sila yung mga tinatawag natin mga reformista. No? So si Rizal ay napunta sa Europa, no? Particular sa Espanya. So kilalang kilala si Rizal sa Pilipinas. Nang dumating si Rizal sa Espanya, ay nandyan na ang mga membro ng La Solidaridad na pinamunuan ni Graciano Lopez Haina. Itong si Graciano Lopez Haina ay ang siyang pinuno ng La Solidaridad. So, this reformist, ang kanilang ginagawa ay nagsusulat sila, mga novel, aklat, sa newspaper. Kaya meron silang newspaper din, ang La Solidaridad. Ang kanilang newspaper ay tinawag ding La Solidaridad. So, ang kanilang newspaper, La Solidaridad, ang kanilang organisasyon ay tinawag na La Solidaridad. So, ang isang newspaper na mayroong maraming tagapagsulat, ang leader ng tagapagsulat ay tinatawag natin, di ba, sa kasalukuyan, this is what we call the editor-in-chief. So the editor-in-chief of La Solidaridad is Graciano Lopez Haina. Nang napadpad si Rizal sa Europa, sa Espanya, maraming mga membro ng La Solidaridad na mga ilustrados din ang nagsabi na dapat si Rizal ay maimbitahan at maging leader ng La Solidaridad. So dahil dyan, narinig ito ni Graciano Lopez Haina na siyang kasalukuyang leader ng La Solidaridad. Of course, if you were Graciano Lopez Haina, you will feel disappointed na bakit gusto ng ibang membro ng La Solidaridad na si Rizal ang mamuno, no? So of course, you feel that you are disappointed with your other members na ikaw na yung namumuno pero may gusto silang ibang mamuno. Ito ay si Jose Rizal, no? Dahil nga sa naging kilala si Rizal sa Pilipinas at nang dumating siya sa Espanya, siya ang itinuro ng ilang mga membro na maging leader si Rizal sa La Solidaridad. Ngunit, nang nalaman ito ni Rizal, tinanggihan ito, no? Tinanggihan ito ni Rizal na maging leader siya ng La Solidaridad. Kasi naman, alam ni Rizal na ito kasing mga membro ng La Solidaridad na mga elite o mga mayayamang mga ilustrados na nakapag-aral sa Espanya, no? Ay alam niya ang kanilang marangyang pamumuhay. You know, there is an extravagant way of living of some of the members of La Solidaridad. May iba ay naglalasing, nagbababae, yung iba naman ay mayroong mga other na bisyo. Kasi hindi naman total na freedom ang gusto ng mga reformista. Ang gusto lang nila ay magkaroon ng representante o boses ng mga Pilipino sa Espanya. So nang tinanggihan ni Rizal ang pagiging pinuno ng La Solidaridad, no? Ano kaya ang naging rason ni Rizal? What is his reason why he did not accept the offer to become a leader of La Solidaridad? No? Number one na rason niya, yun na nga, yung marangyang pamumuhay, hindi niya yun nagustuhan. Pangalawa, sinabi niya, wala dito sa Espanya ang kalaban. So nasaan nga ba ang kalaban ng Pilipinas? Ang Pilipinas, ang kalaban nito ay nasa Pilipinas. So napagdesisyonan ni Rizal. So Rizal decided to go home, went home to the Philippines because he believed that the enemy is not in Spain. So, nang bumalik sa Pilipinas si Rizal, ay bumuo siya ng bagong grupo ng mga ilustrado pa rin. Yan ay ang La Liga Filipina. La Liga Filipina. So, ang mga members nito ay mga sikat din na mga ilustrados. So, pumasok din dito sa eksena si Andres Bonifacio because we have a misconception of Andres Bonifacio. No? Ang naiisip natin pag narinig natin si Andres Bonifacio ay hindi nakapag-aral, kabilang siya sa pinakamababang level ng social classes sa triangle na tinatawag nating mga Indios, no? Sabi nila. But si Rizal ay si Bonifacio ay kabilang pa rin sa prinsipalya, ngunit hindi nga lamang nakapagtapos. Ngunit nga, si Bonifacio ay kinikilala niya si Rizal bilang kanyang idolo, inspirasyon. Magkaibigan itong si Andres Bonifacio at si Jose Rizal. Now, nang nalaman ni Bonifacio na nakauwi na sa Pilipinas, si Rizal at nagbuo ng bagong samahan ng mga ilustrados na tinawag na La Liga Filipina, ay ginusto ni Bonifacio na maging membro. He wanted to become a member of La Liga Filipina, so he asked a permission to Rizal to be part of La Liga Pilipina. No? He became a member of La Liga Pilipina despite being not an Ilustrados. But some members of La Liga Pilipina questioned his membership, Bonifacio's membership to La Liga Pilipina because Bonifacio is not an Ilustrados. That's the number one qualification to become a member of La Liga Pilipina. So by that, hindi nagustuhan ni Bonifacio ang pag-question sa kanyang pagiging membro ng La Liga Pilipina. Ngunit, naging inspirasyon pa rin niya si Rizal bilang kaibigan niya. Binasa nga niya ang mga nobela ni Rizal, no? Meron tayong konsepto na si Bonifacio hindi marunong magbasa. Ngunit si Bonifacio, hindi man nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, ay meron siyang kakayahan magsalita ng Espanyol, magbasa ng Espanyol. So nabasa niya ang mga gawa ni Rizal, mga nobela, No Limitangere at iba pa, no, na mga tula ni Rizal. Kaya nga sinasabi na naging inspirasyon ni Bonifacio. Magkaiba man ang kanilang prinsipyo sa pakikipaglaban sa mga Espanyol. Dahil si Rizal, reformist sa pamamagitan ng pagsulat. Ngunit si Bonifacio, nang tumiwalag siya, nang lumipat siya at umalis siya sa La Liga Pilipina, ay napagdesisyonan niya na magbuo ng isang lihim na samahan o organisasyon. This is the KKK, where you can find here in the screen that we are going to discuss before we will be talking about the cry of the first Philippine Revolution. So let's go back to the foundation of how Bonifacio started the KKK. Again, he was a member of the Liga Pilipina, founded by Rizal when Rizal went home to the Philippines after the La Solidaridad. He created La Liga Pilipina in the Philippines. Bonifacio became a member, but he was being questioned to his membership to La Liga Pilipina because he is not an Ilustrados. So humiwalay si Bonifacio at lumikha siya ng bagong organisasyon. Ito ay ang kataas-taasang, kagalang-galangang katipunan ng anak ng bayan. Because this is a secret organization, no? So palihim lang ito. So, when La Liga Filipina already started its activity ng mga Ilustrados, ay ito ay nahuli at nalaman ng mga Espanyol sa Pilipinas. So, ano nangyari? Pinagdadampot ang lahat ng mga membro ng La Liga Filipina. At si Rizal ay kinuha at itinapon. He was being exiled to Dapitan. So you have your specific subject Rizal, no? The life and works of Rizal. You will go into details of the discussion of the life and works of Rizal. But why we are including Rizal in this discussion right now? Because he serves as inspiration of the first revolution, the first cry of the Philippine Revolution. Again, he is an inspiration of Bonifacio in creating Katipunan. Despite they don't share the same principle, hindi magkatulad ng kanilang prinsipyo sa pakipaglaban. Si Rizal gusto niya sa hindi bloody, no, sa pamagitan ng pagsulat. Ngunit sa pamamaraan ni Bonifacio, ang gusto naman niya ay sa pamamagitan ng himagsikan na madugo, no? Ang kanilang pamamaraan ay pakikipaglaban paggamit ng puwersa. So, may dalawang uri ng revolusyon. We have the reformist, kung saan gumagamit lamang ng diploma. Ang pangalawa ay radical na pakikipaghimagsik. Ang paggamit ng puwersa, sandata. Yan ay ginawa ni Andres Bonifacio. We can identify Bonifacio as a brave person, no? Hindi man sinuportahan ni Andres Bonifacio, ni Jose Rizal ang gusto ni Bonifacio na maglunsad na ng madugong himagsik sa mga Espanyol, no? Bonifacio tried to convince Rizal to support the bloody revolution or the radical revolution. So when Rizal was exiled to, while Rizal is in exile to Dapitan, Bonifacio asked Dr. Pio Valenzuela, again I repeat, Bonifacio asked Dr. Pio Valenzuela to go to Dapitan to convince Rizal to support his plan to launch a bloody revolution o ang isang pakikipaghimagsik gamit ang puwersa. So nag-utos si Bonifacio sa isa sa mga membro ng Katipunan na si Dr. Pio Valenzuela na kumbinsihin si Rizal na suportahan ang pakikipaglaban gamit ang dahas ng mga Katipunero laban sa mga Espanyol. Kaya sa palagay niyo, ano ang naging tugon? What is the answer of Rizal when he was being convinced by Dr. Pio Valenzuela as being asked by Andres Bonifacio? The answer is a big no. So big no. Rizal did not support the plan of Andres Bonifacio. He told Dr. Pio Valenzuela of his reason when he was trying to convince Rizal. So these are the reasons. There are three reasons why Rizal declined and did not support Bonifacio's plan to launch a bloody revolution against the Spaniards. No, because they don't have the same principle. Bonifacio, radical, gamit ang dahas; Rizal, gamit lamang ang pagsusulat. So the first reason is they don't share the same principle. The second, we are not yet ready to launch a bloody revolution. That's the answer. That's the reason, the main reason of Rizal why he did not support Bonifacio when he was being convinced by Dr. Pio Valenzuela of supporting the plan of Bonifacio to launch a bloody revolution? The answer is we are not yet ready for a bloody revolution. Number three, we don't have enough resources to fight against the military of the Spaniards. You know, unlike the Spaniards, they have fort or camp, they have arsenal, they have all the weapons, they have all the materials that been used for war. But for the Filipinos, we only have bolos and other smaller weapon, no, to fight against the Spaniards. So that is why Dr. Pio Valenzuela went to Manila and back and tell Bonifacio that Rizal did not support his plan. No? Despite of not sharing the same principle and idea, Bonifacio still looked up Rizal as his idol, as his inspiration. While the Katipunan started, no, was created, although again, to repeat, Bonifacio, Rizal did not support Bonifacio in his plan. Bonifacio still consider Rizal as the national leader. Now, this is the difference of the first part of the revolution in the ancient time when we were in the time that we were first colonized by the Spaniards, and that they were not able to identify national leader. But in this time, in 1896, the first cry of revolution, there were people being identified as a national leader. One of that is Jose Rizal. Second, we have Andres Bonifacio. So here comes the creation of Katipunan, no? So when Bonifacio separated from the Liga Pilipina, he created a secret organization. There you go. So how did it started, the Katipunan? So with the initiative of Andres Bonifacio and his colleagues, when he was being away from the La Liga Pilipina, they founded Philippine Revolutionary Organization. This is a government, no? Government at the same time. This is a revolutionary government. When you say revolutionary government, there is an existing government, the Spanish government or the Spanish power, and there is another government, which is the Katipunan, try to what? To patalsikin ang kasalukuyang pamamahala ng Espanya sa pamamagitan ng revolusyonaryong gobyerno o pamalaan ng Katipunan. So this Katipunan was commonly known as KKK or Kataas-Taasang Kagalang-galangan na Katipunan ng Anak ng Bayan. So what's their primary goal? Compare nimo sa mga reformists. The reformists, their goal is to have a reform o reforma pagbabago ang mga pagnanais na magkaroon ng karapatan ng mga Pilipino. Okay. So by that, ang kaibahan naman ng Katipunan ay ang gusto talaga nila ay lubusang kalayaan mula sa kamay ng Espanya. They wanted to gain total independence from the hands of the Spaniards through revolution. So, Bloody Revolution. Next, Katipunan was a secret organization until it was discovered in 1896. This is a secret organization. This is a secret organization. The turning point of the very first Philippine Revolution is when Katipunan was being discovered by the Spanish government. So that is the first cry o unang sigaw ng himagsikan. To continue, Katipunan is a revolution which would free Philippines from the shackles of the Spanish oppression and had to be national in scope. So the key founders, actually Bonifacio was being identified as a national leader during this time, this national movement, no? This is a revolutionary government. So there is what we call identified leader, Supremo. So Andres Bonifacio is not the very first Supremo, but he was being considered the Supremo of Katipunan, the father of Katipunan. So these are the five founders: Andres Bonifacio, Judato Arellano, Lariso Diwa, Chudoro Plata, Valentin Diaz. Okay, these are the five original founders. So Bonifacio founded Katipunan in Manila, in Tondo, no, because Bonifacio is coming from Tondo. So now there is a method, no, a method being used to recruit a member because this is a secret organization. So in order for them to have a lot of members, there is what we call a strategy for them to recruit their members by not identifying themselves na hindi sila magkakilala. For example, in the triangle, we have the A as the original member. So maghahanap siya ng isa pang membro, si letter B at si letter C. So si A ang original na member, si B at C ay hindi magkakilala. So sabay itong ni-recruit ng A, si B at C. Ngunit si B at C ay hindi magkakilala. So there is, no, this is Katipunan and there is an initiation also. It is the same with almost the same with the principle of fraternity, brotherhood, and sorority, sisterhood. So there is an initiation if you want to become a member of this, no? So in the initiation, no, mayroong magiging membro. No? There is a test to be conducted to become a member of Katipunan. So you will be in a room, a dark room, where you are being tested to become a member. No, in fraternity, no, kanang bunalan man ta, no, para may mong member, that's the initiation. But here, you're gonna cover your eyes, no, tapos you will be test of your bravery. So you are going to be test to kill a person, but that's not the actual way of having the initiation. So pinagmumukha lamang na kaya mong pumatay. Ngunit sako lang gaya na siya, dili siya real na tao. So if you are willing to sacrifice your life, no? So if you become a member, there are stages to become in the highest part, no? So membership in Katipunan are divided into three. If you are just a newbie, you are being identified as associate. Bago pa lamang ang tawag sa iyo ay katipon, no? Because this is a secret organization, there is identified password for each other. So may suot silang black mask, then their password is anak ng bayan or sons of the people. Second, the second grade or grade 2 is identified as kawal or soldier. At ang kanilang kasuotan na mask is kulay green. At their password is Gumborza. So, imagine na, Gumborza was still being used because Gumborza is an inspiration of Rizal. Going back, although Rizal did not supported Katipunan, but Bonifacio opted to use this password as an inspiration to Rizal na principle and Gumbursa, no? And the last grade is the third grade or identified as Bayani and Patriot. And they will be wearing red. So this is the common Katipunero where we can find that they are wearing a handkerchief in their neck with color red. Their password is Rizal. So imagine that, although Rizal did not support did not support Katipunan, but still Rizal, his presence, his identity is being part of the password because when the Katipunan is going to have a meeting, oh, Tiponero will have the meeting and initiation, they do not forget to put picture of Rizal in the room. So that is how they show how the high regard with how they serve Rizal as their inspiration. So bawat pagkakaraon na sila ay nagpupulong, nagkakaroon ng initiation ng kanilang bagong-bagong membro, ipinapakilala palagi si Rizal bilang kanilang national leader. No, despite again, Rizal did not support this type of revolution, but they could still consider Rizal as their national leader. Their identity is being associated to Rizal. Rizal serves as their inspiration despite they are not being supported by Rizal in their way of fighting independence through a bloody revolution. So to recap, there are three types, no? This is the picture. Three types of members of Katipunan. The Katipon, the new member or the associate, color black ang suot. Their password is sons of the people o anak ng bayan. The second level is Kawal or soldier. Their outfit is color green. Their password is Gumborza. And the highest level of the membership is Bayani or Patriot. Their attire is color red. And the password is Rizal. Okay, this is how the initiation happened when you become a member of Katipunan, no? This is an scene in Tondo, specifically in Escaraga Street, where initiation recruitment of members are being conducted, no? After having the test, if you become an official member of the Katipunan, you will sign an agreement using your own blood in the blood compact. For example, na siya, samara na siya diha na mo isuwat, diha ka makuha upang sulat nimo ang imuhang dugo. So blood compact happen and sign their membership with their own blood. So you become an official member if you pass the test and you have written or signed the membership form using your own blood. So in the background, you can see Rizal pictures, no? Because they still consider Rizal as their national leader. Now, the objective of Katipunan, why this was established as a secret organization, is first to unite the Filipinos under one flag. The flag that being identified and used during this time is the KKK. Ibig sabihin, they are united as a Filipinos, no? In this time, during the very first part of the revolution, the Buhoy Revolution, the Ilocos Revolution, the different part of the revolution in the country during Miguel Lopez de Legazpi were not successful because we are not united as one Filipino. We have some revolution in other parts of the country. Unlike now, the Katipunan is in a national scope. Ibig sabihin, kinikilala ng national leader si Rizal at saka si Bonifacio sa lahat ng panig ng bansa sa pagkakataon na ito. Mayroon ng mga membro sa lahat ng panig ng bansa na membro ng Katipunan sa Luzon, sa Visayas at Mindanao. Iisa ang kanilang objective to unite Filipinos under one flag at makamit ang ating kalayaan mula sa kamay ng mga Espanyol sa pamagitan ng pakikipaghimagsik gamit ang mga sandata. Kasi ang paraan naman ng pakikipaglaban nila Andres Bonifacio, kulang na tayo sa kagamitan na hindi naman harapan, not a face-to-face. It's a guerrilla warfare. So what's a guerrilla warfare? It's a way of fighting in an ambush way. So patago, palihim na pakikipaglaban na hindi nakikipagharap sa mismong kalaban because we believe that we cannot win against the Spaniards if we have a face-to-face war or battle. So what's the strategy, the guerrilla warfare? Patago, palihim, ambush style. So, dahil diyan, no, si Bonifacio naman ay hindi general, hindi isang general, military general, pero meron siyang mga estratehiya na kung paano nila makukuha o mananalo sa mga digmaan na patago, which is yung mga pa-ambush. No, that is what we call the guerrilla warfare. And the third one is to defend. That's the letter F. To defend the oppressed and help member who are in need. So let's keep on that. Now, if the reformists like Jose Rizal and Graciano Lupisaina, they have La Solidaridad. The name of their newspaper is La Solidaridad. The Katipuneros, there are some members also who are ilustrados. It does not limit kasi alam natin sa Katipunero, pakikipaglaban lang gamit ang dahas or sandata. There are some members who are also ilustrados, who are general, who are studying law, like these people. They have the ability to write, no? Hindi lamang sa pakikipagdigma. Kaya meron ding mga manunulat sa kanila. At isa na nga sa mga pinakabatang membro nito ay si Emilio Jacinto ay nagkaroon ng tsansa na magsulat. Meron din silang newspaper. Again, kung ang reformists, they have La Solidaridad as their newspaper under the name of the organization. No? The Katipuneros also knows how to write. No? Kaya nga, isa nga dito si Andres Bonifacio, gumagamit sila ng alias so that they will not be identified or also known as or pseudonym. Si Andres Bonifacio may dalawa siyang alias. Sa first one, makikita natin dyan ay ang May Pag-asa at ang pangalawa naman ay Agupito Bagong Bayan. Si Artemio Ricarte, nasa gitna, gumagamit din ng pangalawang pangalan na Bigora. At of course, si Emilio Jacinto, ang pinakabatang membro ng mga opisyal ng Katipunan ay tinaguriang Pinkian. Now, meron ding mga babae, no? Mga babae kagaya ng mga sumusunod, no? These are individuals who serves as sisters, wife of some of the members of Katipunan. So, of course, ang mga babaeng Katipunera ay pinangunahan ng kanilang Pangulo, si Josefa Rizal, ang kapatid ni Jose Rizal, ang kapangalawang Pangulo, ang pangalawang asawa ni Andres Bonifacio na si Gregoria de Jesus. Kasama na sila Marina Dizon, Angelica Rizal Lopez. Okay? So, kaya nga, balikan natin, ang Katipunan ay hindi lamang isang secret na samahan, ito din ay isang gobyerno, revolutionary government. Pag may gobyerno, may mga batas na sinusunod ang lahat ng mga membro. So the Bible of Katipunan, because it's a commandments, there is what we call their Bible. There nakasaad lahat ng mga kautusan, commandments, rules and regulation ng samahan, ang tinatawag na Kartilya ng Katipunan. Ito ay sinulat ni Emilio Jacinto. Again, to repeat, Kartilya ang tawag sa Biblia kung saan nakasaad ang lahat ng mga utos. Ito ay binubuo ng 13 mga kautusan na dapat sundin ng lahat ng mga membro. Nandyan din ang mga sanctions if you violate the commandments of Kartilya. So, the Katipunan have their own Bible, no? The Kartilya ng Katipunan. And then, as I said earlier, ang mga Katipunero ay meron din kakayahan magsulat. They also have their newspaper. No? If the last Solidaridad, the reformists in Europe, in Spain, they have their newspaper La Solidaridad. The Katipuneros, they also have kakayaan. So mga kontributor niyan, si Emilio Jacinto, may pangalawang pangalan din siya, si Dimas Ilaw. Si Andres Bonifacio ay naging kilala din si Agapito Bagong Bayan. Okay? At si Dr. Pio Valenzuela ay madlang awa. So March 1896, nang unang inlunsad ang unang issue ng pahayagan or newspaper ng Katipunan o the first issue of Kalayaan. 2,000 copies ang nag-circulate. Kasama na dyan ang mga artikulong sinulat ni Emilio Jacinto, Andres Bonifacio, and Pio Valenzuela. Ito ay nag-circulate na sa lahat ng panig ng Metro Manila at mga kalapit na bayan. So dahil dyan, dumating ang panahon na ang Katipunan, kahit na gaano ito kasikreto, ay natuklasan pa rin. It was discovered by the Spanish government. Kaya nga, meron pa rin nagtraidor. No? We can really say that even in the past, there are Filipinos ang nagtraidor. So paano nga ba natuklasan ng Espanya, ang gobyerno ng Espanya, ang patagong lihim na organisasyon na ito, ang revolutionary government na Katipunan? So dahil dito, the discovery of Katipunan, no, was a result of unfortunate turn of events. Maraming mga Katipunero ang pinagdadakip at pinagpapatay, pinagpaparusahan, torture before it was being killed. So, there is one member, bagong member, an associate, so first grade, newbie, sa katauhan ni Teodoro Patenio, meron siyang kapatid na babae na nagtatrabaho sa isang orphanage na pinamamalaan ng Spanya. Ang pangalan ng kanyang kapatid ay si Honoria. Dahil nga hindi na naging masaya si Teodoro Patenio sa samahan ng Katipunan, ay sinabi niya, sinuplong niya at pinagsasabi niya ang sikretong organisasyong ito kang Honoria, ang kaniyang kapatid. Si Honoria naman ay nagsabi sa pare na tinawag na si Father Mariano Hill. Si Father Mariano Hill at ang kanyang ay pinagsabihan ni Patenio na mayroong isang secret na organization. Kaya naman si Father Mariano Hill ay sinumbong din niya sa Governor General during this time. The Governor General during this time is Governor General Ramon Blanco. Kaya si General Blanco, Ramon Blanco, ay inutusan niya ang malawakang pag-raid sa mga lugar na mayroong mga hinihinalang mga katipunero. So pinagdadakip ang lahat. No? Marami ang pinatay, marami ang nabawas na mga member, no? Pinagdadala sila sa Fort Santiago, pinarusahan, pinatay, pinahirapan bago pinatay. So, by that, ang pagtuklas ng Katipunan, ng natuklasan, na-discover ang Katipunan ng isang lihim na organisasyon na lumalaban sa Espanya, ito na ang naging hudyat. This is now the turning point of the first Philippine Revolution, the cry of Philippine Revolution. By that, tinipon ni lahat ni Bonifacio ang natitirang mga membro ng Katipunan. No? Tinipon niya lahat. So, isa sa mga naging membro dito ay si General Emilio Aguinaldo. Again, paano napasok si General Emilio Aguinaldo sa eksena? Si General Emilio Aguinaldo ay isa lamang membro ng Katipunan na nagmula sa Cavite. So dumayo siya sa Maynila at nagpa-member. Imagine na general siya, meron siyang sapat na kaalaman sa pakikipagdigma. At kinilala niya si Bonifacio bilang supremo, the founder, the leader of Katipunan. So naging kaibigan si Bonifacio at si Aguinaldo. At binigyan ng karapatan ni Bonifacio si Aguinaldo na mamahala sa mga Katipunero doon sa Cavite. So paano nagkaroon ng ugnayan si Bonifacio at Aguinaldo? Again, Aguinaldo was just a member of Katipunan. Naging magkaibigan si Aguinaldo at si Bonifacio. Binigyan ng kapangyarihan ni Bonifacio si Aguinaldo na pamahalaan ang mga Katipunero sa Cavite. So napakaraming serye ng digmaan ang ginanap sa Cavite at maraming mga digmaan ang pinanalo ni Emilio Aguinaldo sa Cavite. Why? Why do you think so? Mas maraming pinanalo si Aguinaldo. Again, to repeat, Emilio Aguinaldo is a general. Therefore, he has enough background of different strategies for warfare. So Aguinaldo was able to win several wars while Bonifacio started to lose in his battle. So marami, kaya nga, isa na nga dito ay ang mga paghuli sa mga Katipunero na natuklasan ito sa Maynila. Napakaraming mga Pilipinong Katipunero ang pinarusahan, pinagpapatay. Ngunit marami naman din ang mga natalong digmaan ni Andres Bonifacio. While si Aguinaldo sa Cavite ay naging tanyag. He became famous in Cavite because he won a lot of battles in Cavite. So, naging leader si Aguinaldo sa Cavite na mga Katipunero. Marami ang sumanib sa kanya, marami ang sumama, sapagkat marami din ang kanyang pinanalong digmaan. So ito yung ang ebidensya na mayroong mga Katipunero, no, sa kanilang printing press sa pag-produce ng kanilang newspaper na Kalayaan. Now, ito ang Fort Santiago, no, kung saan maraming Pilipino ang pinagdadakip na nila ang Katipunero. Now, what's the issue? There are different primary sources kung saan talaga nangyari. Saan saan pinulong, saan where did Bonifacio gather the remaining Katipuneros, no, to shout for their to shout and to launch the bloody revolution. No, there are different dates. There are August 23, 1896, 8/24, August 25, 26. So may iba't ibang dates at may iba't ibang ding lugar kagaya ng Pugadlawin in Caloocan, Balintawak in Quezon City. So that's the issue. So that would be the next discussion. So there are different accounts na mga general kung saan talaga nangyari ang sigaw ng unang himagsikan, no? So may nagsabi na ito ay sa bahay ni Melchor Aquino, also known as Tandang Sora, sa Caloocan. Sa likod ng kanilang bahay, sa anak niyang si Juan Ramos, anak ni Melchor Aquino. Sino nga ba ito si Melchor Aquino? Melchor Aquino was considered to be the mother of Katipunan. No? Siya kasi yung tumutulong sa mga sugatang Katipunero, nag-aalaga, nagbibigay ng mga pagkain. Kaya nang natuklasan ng Katipunan, maraming mga Pilipinong Katipunero ang nasaktan, pinahirapan, namatay. So, inalagaan ito ni Melchor Aquino at dinadala doon sa bahay nila para gamutin. So, ito yung na-decide ng mga grupo ni Andres Bonifacio na maging lugar kung saan sila ay nagtipon at opisyal na inulunsad ang unang sigaw ng himagsikan or the first cry of revolution o sigaw sa Pugadlawin o sigaw sa Balintawak. There, anong naging simbolismo? What's the symbolism of the launching of the first cry of revolution? So dito ay uh, pinunit ng mga Katipunero ang kanilang sidula. So this sidula stands as our identity. This is the community tax. Let's have a short history or background of sidula. We hear about sidula right now in the present. Sidula is your certificate tax identification. So this is also being used to identify yourself. Now, if you are 18 years old, you can get your sidula in barangay, city hall, municipio. So before, this is a way of gathering people, identifying people that we are being controlled by the Spaniards. So you cannot go out in your respective home if you don't have Sindula. It is associated right now if you are driving a car. So you cannot drive a car without your license. So if you're driving your car, then you will be convicted. When then you don't have the license, no? So of course, it's a violation. Before, also you cannot go out from your home without bringing or paying a sidula. So if you're looking around the town during the Spanish time, and if you do not bring and you do not pay your sidula or sidula personal, you will be imprisoned by Guardia Civil. So that is so important. So lahat ng mga tao Pilipino ay dapat mayroong sidula kung ikaw ay nasa labas. So dahil dito, nang pinunit ito na mga Katipunero ang sidula, ito ay pagpapakita na hindi na tayo sumasailalim sa kapangyarihan ng mga Espanyol at handa na tayo makipaglaban sa kanila. That is their cry. So while they are shouting for the himagsikan and for the freedom, the independence of our country, one symbol that showing to the Spaniards that we are no longer under their power is to tear the sidula. So the news about the discovery of Katipunan, when it was being discovered, news spread out throughout Manila and nearby municipalities and cities and places in Metro Manila. Andres Bonifacio immediately called for a general meeting. So this now the issue right now. Kung saan ba talaga naganap ang pagpupulong na ito? Is it Pugadlawin, in Caloocan, or in Quezon City, the Balintawak? And there is one place, the Kangkong. No, there are. So I will be sending to you the copy of the different accounts kung saan ba talaga at kailan talaga nangyari. So that is why there are different dates, 23, 24, 25, 26. So the National Historical Commission of the Philippines decided already that it will be on the fourth Monday of August. So that is why every fourth Monday of August, most of you do not know why we celebrate and why we have that kind of holiday. So fourth Monday of August is associated to the first cry of the Philippine Revolution. So fourth Monday of August is identified as holiday as a National Heroes Day. This is attributed to all the Katipuneros who sacrifices their life to gain our independence and to start the launching of the first cry of Philippine Revolution. So most of us, we don't know the dates, we don't know the significance of this holiday. What is important in us is we have some rest because it's holiday, but we don't get the integral or the significance of that holiday. Again, to repeat, August, fourth Monday of August is always associated with the first cry of the Philippine Revolution or the sigaw ng Pugadlawin o pagpunit ng sigula. So heartened by his men's response dahil pumayag ang mga Pilipinong katipunerong nalalabi o naiwan ng mga katipunero, then sinigaw nila, sabay-sabay nilang pinunit ang kanilang sidula at isinigaw ang mga katagang ito. Long live Philippine Independence! Mabuhay ang kalayaan ng Pilipinas! Mabuhay ang himagsikan! And as a sign of defiance and determination to rise against the Spaniards, it marks against Spain, the Filipino started to revolt. But unfortunately, because again, as I repeat, Bonifacio, when they started the revolution, some of his battles, most of these battles were unfortunately was not successful. No, kasi nga kulang sila sa kagamitan, no? Yun na nga sinabi ni Rizal, di ba? Tama nga si Rizal. But on the other part of nearby Manila, like Cavite, because it is headed by one of the Katipunero members and leader, Emilio Aguinaldo, who's a general, he won a lot of battles. So marami ang pumunta sa Cavite at nagpasanib sa puwersa ni Aguinaldo. Habang marami naman ang namamatay sa digmaan ni Andres Bonifacio, so nagkaroon ng problema. No, there is already a problem issue between who should be the leader. Is it Aguinaldo who is constantly winning battles in Cavite, or is it Bonifacio who was considered to be the founder, the supremo, but unfortunately lost in several battles. So if I am a Katipunero, I would be deciding to go to Cavite and go with Aguinaldo to resolve the issue because Bonifacio is so humble, despite being identified as Supremo. So he goes to what? He goes to Cavite and decided to resolve the problem decided to solve the problem about the leadership of Katipunan. So people are gathering in Tijeros in Cavite. So that is what we call the Tijeros Convention or Tijeros Assembly, where there is what we call an election. So nagkaroon ng eleksyon, no? At si Bonifacio ay kinilalang presider o tagapamuno sa ginawang eleksyon sa Tijeros Assembly. Because this is a place in Cavite, of course, Bonifacio's presence is being outnumbered by the supporters of Aguinaldo in Cavite. Di man na niya home court man na ni Aguinaldo, so dagan lang supporter. So when they started the election, before they started the election to select the president of the revolutionary government of the Katipunan. So Bonifacio, when he presided, he said, whatever is the result of the election, let us all respect the result. No? So by that, ito yung Cry of Pugadlawi, no? Ito si Dula. At ito yung walong probinsya that symbolizes the 8 rays before going to the Terrace Convention. No, these are the 8 provinces that represents also the 8 rays of the sun in our current Philippine plat. Manila, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Bulacan, Pampanga. Ito din ang 8 unang lugar na itineklara ni Governor General Ramon Blanco under the martial law. So, dineklara niya na magkaroon ng mga digmaan sa mga bayan na ito, sa mga probinsyong ito. So, yun na nga, no? So ito yung Fort Santiago kung saan pinagpapatay, kontrobersya. Sige. Okay. Dahil nagkaroon ng problema, no? Nagkaroon ng rebellion faction sa Cavite, nahati sa dalawa ang grupo nila Ginaldo at ni Bonifacio. So, ang katipunan ay nahati sa dalawa at nagkaroon ng issue. So, ang mga supporters ni Emilio Aguinaldo ay tinawag na Magdalo. Ang mga supporters naman ni Andres Bonifacio ay tinawag na Magdiwang. To resolve the issue of leadership, Bonifacio he humbly accept the election and he said in the Tejeros Convention or the Tejeros Assembly, they decided to elect an officers, no, the president and down to the five. There are only five positions. So here comes the Tejeros Convention. So again, to repeat, that place is a place of Aguinaldo, and we all know that it is being outnumbered by Bonifacio. And Bonifacio will be outnumbered because it's a place of Aguinaldo. So as he presided the election in the Tejeros Convention, he said before the start, whatever is the result of the election, let us all respect the result. So here comes the nomination to become the president. Of course, Bonifacio, sabi ng mga some of his members na follower niya, sabi ng mga members niya, we don't need the election. We should appoint Bonifacio as the leader because he is the founder. He is the supremo. No? But the supporters of Emilio Aguinaldo, no, let's have an election to make it official. So tinanggap naman ni Bonifacio na magkakaroon ng election. But as he said, whatever is the result of the election, let us all respect the result of it. So here comes the nomination of the president. Of course, Bonifacio was also nominated. Aguinaldo was nominated. But what is the twist? Aguinaldo was not there during the Tijeros assembly or the election because he is still busy having a battle. And he won that battle, even in that battle, no? So, ang nanalong presidente, El Presidente, ay si Emilio Aguinaldo. Because we all know it's outnumbered, no? So, because of that, Bonifacio, as he said, let us all respect the result. So, Emilio Aguinaldo was declared as what? He was declared as El Presidente of the revolutionary government. And now, second position. Aguinaldo was already the president, so second position. Bonifacio again is nominated, but unfortunately he did not won again. The third position, Bonifacio is still again nominated, but he did not won again. Did not win again. The fourth position, still nominated, but he was not able to win the position. Here comes the last position, the Director Interior. No, the Director Interior. Bonifacio was nominated and thanks God, he won. At siya ang nanalong Director Interior. But what's the twist? So there is one member of the Katipunan under the Magdalo faction of Emilio Ginaldo in the person of Daniel Perona. No? Daniel Perona. Question. No? So ito na nga, no? Ito na ang mga sinasabing mga posisyon. Si Daniel Perona ay kuminestyon ang pagiging panalo ni Andres Bonifacio bilang Director Interior. Because according to him, a Director of Interior must be a lawyer. So he questioned Andres Bonifacio to be elected as Director Interior. Diba? As I said, as we talked about earlier, according to Bonifacio, whatever is the result, we should accept. So I know, we all know that Andres Bonifacio is not a lawyer. So here comes Andres Bonifacio responded to Daniel Torona who questioned his authority to be part of to be elected as Director Interior. Diba? Sinabi ni Andres Bonifacio, sinabi ko kanina, sabi niya na lahat ng mga resulta ay dapat nating tanggapin. So na-insulto naman dito si Andres Bonifacio when he was being questioned by Daniel Torona. No? So when it is being questioned, so kinuha ni Andres Bonifacio ang kanyang baril at tinangkang barilin niya ito si Daniel Terona. So nagkaroon ng kumusyon. There is commotion, no? Nagkagulo. Kaya dineclare ni Andres Bonifacio na null and void ang resulta ng eleksyon. Unfortunately, dahil ito ay nasa lugar ng Cavite. Kahit na idineklara ni Andres Bonifacio na null and void ang eleksyon na ito, ay kinilala pa rin si Emilio Aguinaldo na naging pinuno ng revolusyonaryong gobyerno, no, si Emilio Aguinaldo. Nag-walk out si Andres Bonifacio. Dahil dito, si Andres Bonifacio ay, no, the next day, Andres Bonifacio ay naglabas ng Acta de Tejeros, no, document notes after signed by his supporters. Meanwhile, the elected officers of Magdalo held a meeting in Malabon. That night, Aguinaldo and other elected officers Tejeros, they took their oath of office. So, dahil dito, si Andres Bonifacio ay naglabas din ng kasunduan na naipak, no? So, Bonifacio decided to establish another government independent from Aguinaldo dahil hindi nga niya ito kinilala ang pagiging pinuno ni Aguinaldo, no? And these two generals, no, however, turned back to Bonifacio and after talk to Aguinaldo, ay mas binigyan nila ng pagkilala ang pagiging pinuno o el presidente ni Aguinaldo. Dahil dito, tinagurian si Aguinaldo bilang pinuno ng revolusyonaryong pamahalaan. And sad to say, no, ay pinahuli si si Bonifacio at ang kanyang mga kasamahan kasama na ang kanyang kapatid, no? At pinarusahan ng treason ang kanyang paglabag o sa batas na treason o pagtataksil sa bansa. Kaya si Bonifacio ay pinatawan ng kamatayan. So imagine kapwa Pilipino, mga katipunero ang mismong nagpatay sa magkapatid na Bonifacio at Procopio. So, yun nga, no? Sad to say. So, kahit nasa mismong bansa natin, sa panahon ng mga Espanyol ay mayroong mga pagkakaroon ng hindi pagkakaunawaan at kapwa Pilipino ang nagpapatayan. So, Bonifacio's death did not deter the Filipinos from fighting their freedom, no? So, ito na nga, ang huling part is ang video na at inyong pamapanood kung paano naganap ang pagpatay at pagpaslang sa magkapatid. So, but we will skip on that. No, are done already with our session. So there will be questions to be asked that you need to answer in the LMS. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you have learned from today's session.